was genius. Um, Here's what it translated to. Here's the discovery that it gave me. Basically, I all the last few days have been trying to fuse 2 and 3, right? Because I understood that they were both slingshot, and that's what I was talking about today. Is my lead was, well, they all have slingshot in common. Perhaps you can reduce it down to that. And basically, what you said is instead of trying to combine 2 and 3, combine 1 and 2 by basically saying make them both part of the same story. And then what that made me realize is, first of all, I have been heavily slacking on the ooze part of Ooze Lacquer, and I've been thinking about it just more like the computer. And specifically, what I forgot was that what it meant, like what the reason I put it in the first place was because it's a signifier of the old multi-dimensional super smiler. Um, it's
The
the
old wasn't that like pretty recent?
what is it?
You call that old? Wasn't that like pretty recent?
Why is your microphone shit on Discord now?
I don't know what happened in the last few seconds, but wasn't a newer framework. You just called it old.
No, I mean it's not really a newer framework. I came up with it whenever we did like sub one like a month ago. And it's not that
Well, you had used it pretty recently,
yeah,
I
but that
thought.
yeah, but that's all I mean. I don't mean that there's a new version. I just mean that like that it got retitled into the ooze because basically what I found out is that the Smiler framework is the same. It's very very tied in with the framework ooze concept, and the framework ooze concept is is essentially the concept that God is like a virus and that God experiences existence through us, right? And that's framework ooze is basically the feeling of God feeling himself running on you. Like that's what framework ooze is. Like that's I don't know how to explain it beyond that. It's like
Well,
God.
again, I was just confused. It's with your framework terminology, it goes very fast as far as like going from one term to another term. So my brain needs to understand the
Yeah,
distance between terms.
yeah. But so that's so it's just that uh, the ooze stands for two things. It stands for framework ooze, and it also stands for interdimensional super soldier because those fused into one
Hmm.
concept, which became the ooze, which is only half of Ooze Room, which is also to denote the simulation. So to combine 1 and 2, I essentially what I did was I just understood that that's what the story denotes. The one that I told you, the one of like essentially the simulation growing a smile, right, as it kicks in you. It's like that is specifically what that is supposed to know. It is supposed to talk about that essentially. Um, Hold on, let me meditate on this for a second. I haven't even put this in words in my own head yet. Also, by the way, I got the most intense religious convulsions I've ever had just now. Like ridiculously intense. Like literally legitimately like a mini seizure. Um like on my
Awesome.
dirt bike, mini seizure. And it's like I bet if you scan my brain activity, it was going fucking insane. Which is very, very
Uh-huh.
interesting. Alright, but anyway, back to meditating. It was yeah,
Talking about the death of you.
I started thinking of damn it, I started speaking and I lost it. Oh Jesus. Hold on, let me figure it out again. Oh, what were you saying?
Those convulsions will probably be the death of you. You'll probably be driving one day and
Yeah,
smash into a family.
yeah, yeah. That would be very funny. But I'm surprised how well my driving continues with it. Like it actually seems to like be fantastic, even though my head is not even looking at the trail. My head is looking upwards at the sky, and my shoulders all the way like they're fully like like literally there's ripples running from my wrists all the way into my shoulder blades and flexing back out like a liquid motion. I gotta send you, God, I gotta send you that part from the audio. I can't believe I haven't done that. I'll do that as soon as we hang up. But anyway, um, okay, so back to what I was thinking about, which was how 1 and 2 combined. Okay, hold on, yeah. So I started thinking of the second step, which is black hole. Right? I started thinking of that as its own thing, independent of step one, which is Ooze, when really all it's meant to denote, kind of, is that it's a part of Ooze. And so to put what that means into perspective, you said make them a part of the same story, and essentially they are a part of the same story when you understand the story of the simulation smiling. When you understand that fully, what it's going into is specifically what that denotes, and specifically what the background denotes, if you remember, which is it's like it's just like a million miles an hour, like the Marvel comic intro, like rippling past lives, just rippling through, you know,
Hold on,
millions.
Ashton. Ryan's here for a second.
No, no,
What,
no,
Ryan?
no, 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 no. I have to leave. I have to leave in like five minutes. Like
Okay,
they're gonna be
wait.
coming around.
You leaving? Ashton's got to hurry. Hold on. Come back shortly. I don't. Oh, you're allowed to get whatever you want. I don't care. Yes, Ashton.
So what was I saying? How does he always time it? It's genuinely impressive. He has spidey senses. Um,
uh, the black hole Uzi
yeah. So black hole, essentially, that it is that 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 I started thinking of it as a separate thing. Like, so first you have the simulation, which is basically just to say that like I am all thought vectors, and then next you have a black hole, which is to note that I am eating thought vectors, and those are separate things. When, like you said, you can incorporate them into one story, and how you do that is when you understand that the flipping through pages, right? What that denotes is the millions of lives that the infinite is experiencing, right? That's the millions of different thought textures is flicking through, or you call them lines, but really it is just thought textures. The millions of different thought textures that God is flicking through, and essentially what that
What are you talking about? Go, just sit there. What, Ashton?
that essentially that what that denotes is is enjoy is consuming. It is black hole. What flipping through the pages, what living all those lives, what that means, like what the smile means, is is God appreciating all those lives. Like what that story is about isn't just about the detached realization that God is infinite thought vectors, but it is specifically the it's like the smile is him appreciating the thought vectors. The smile is him living the lives. The smile is that forward motion. The smile is the as I said, the timing windows, the short timing windows, like whenever you have to make a joke and you have to put the words together perfectly in time, or you have to time the perfect head kick on your opponent, or you have to time the perfect thing to say to your boss, and the few moments that you have to make up for the mistake you made. Like all of these little things, these little thought textures, like that is what God is smiling about. And there's of course more complicated than that too, because it is also denoting interdimensional super smilers, which is like that cold, computerized, like super incredibly efficient acid version of forward motion. But like that's also encapsulated in the smile. It's like that's God appreciating thought textures. And whenever God appreciates thought textures, that's when your life form begins to just like move forward and just consume and become like the Ubermensch, basically. You know what I mean? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially what that story means. And whenever you understand a story like that, then one and two fuse and they become one thing, which is just I am God, and it's no longer I am God and God appreciates thought textures. It's basically just I am God, and a part of that is that God appreciates thought textures, and those become one thing. And then breathing just becomes to reinforce that, and you don't need to you and then what basically breathing, of course, just gets consumed by that whenever you do breathing right, and then that's when it all becomes one thing. And breathing is a reminder, and you don't need to fuse breathing with anything else. Breathing is the most separate piece, but yeah, breathing just basically serves as something to be constantly hit with that particular story, that particular thought texture of the infinite smiling. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I think that's enough. So that's what I got, and
Yeah.
that's what I just got my religious fissures with. What was I gonna say?
I've your I don't know. In the last few days, us calling it given me a visual, um, of blank void, God smiling, but what that looks like is he smiles in the shape in the black void. He smiles in the shape of like galaxy clusters, and the smile is made out of what we would generally look up as space. And it's just that concept that we are that smile. God
Yeah.
smiles the void, and we are His smile spreading across.
Another vision that I've told you about that I've gotten continuously, which also denotes a very similar thing, is the image of just um many. and it almost denotes it better in a way because it does explain our lives better at least. Is is like several different Smilers fighting each other and just each of them understanding that each of the other one is also God, and then there's it's basically just mixed martial arts. You know how in mixed martial arts it's more like your dance partners than you're fighting each other. It's the same thing where it's like
Yeah.
you can have you can have two people who represent two completely different components of God and disagree on literally everything, and yet they can still love what each other are doing and that each other are farthering their own goals. And it's and that also denotes the forward motion. It denotes a lot of things. But anyways, just the smile is so potent and it's very interesting because it's like that's what I got from sub one, and it is like that's what kicked these frameworks into overdrive was understanding the smile. So it's just very interesting.
So, have you now that you've fused them together? Will is there any changes or organizational differences now, or is that still a work in progress?
Um, I wasn't even really gonna make it into anything like that. This one doesn't even fall into those categories because really the way to think about it is just you have the story and you have breathing. So, you could make it two letters, I guess, but really when you're running it right, breathing it doesn't even denote anything special other than it just being something which is getting hit by the story, and it's like you're feeling every breath when you're doing it right. Um, so it really isn't even anything separate. You know what I mean? So there really isn't any reason to have anything organizational because you really only have one piece. You have the story and you have the breathing, which is something which you're hitting with the thought texture that the story provides.
Say that last part again.
Just that all you have is the story, and then you have the breathing, which is just something which is being hit with the thought texture that the story creates.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, that you've got the mental side of it that you're thinking about, and then you have the physical action.
Yeah,
An interesting little dynamic, which should be the perfect framework. A few.
turn around is um is the framework. It's retarded. It is so powerful. I had a religious seizure listening to Nietzsche. I had a religious seizure listening to my audiobook, and I had one listening to music all today. Um, they're just so
Nice.
common now. And oh yeah, I figured out what causes religious seizures, by the way. It's an overdose. It's specifically what it is. It's when you try to take in so much experience. You literally get overwhelmed with the amount of input that you're trying to take in. It's when you hug so wide, you try to pull in so much that you're pulling in too much for your brain to literally comprehend every detail about what you're inhaling. So it's whenever like you're listening to music and you're fully perceiving the music and you're also fully perceiving the trees around you, and not obviously the trees aren't separate from just any other eyesight, but you're fully perceiving your eyesight and you're fully perceiving your hearing and your smell, and you understand them all exactly as thought textures, and you're pulling everything in so hard, you're pulling so much in at once that your brain just can't even comprehend it, and it just seizes. I found out exactly what it is, and that's what it is, and that's why I was able to
It's like
call
a
it.
short circuits.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you're pulling in so much, your brain just short circuits. It is, it is. That's exactly what it is. That's the perfect description. Um, of what's happening. I mean, it's exactly what it is. You're pulling in. You're trying to pull too much detail. You're trying to pull. You're like it's because you're delving into the deep detail. It's the difference of just the way normal people look at a tree and the way we can see a tree. You know what I mean? And all of its vivid physical detail. It's that. It's whenever all thought textures are on the same level and you understand that everything is just thought textures and you're no longer dividing them into categories. You're purely perceiving thought textures, and you're perceiving them in such high detail. You're perceiving so much of them, and you're perceiving so many different layers of thought texture that it just becomes so overwhelming. And it's just like it literally what it feels like is you try to perceive the entire universe at one time, and then it's just boom, you just get hit massively, a sledgehammer over the head. Um,
Yeah, it's the like the body is can only hold so much,
yeah,
like, and
it's just zooming
the
out.
entire universe is much more than what the human body can handle.
Yeah, the human brain can handle, and it's just like zooming out, but like actually, like neurochemically zooming out. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. We'll start talking about this again after this fight. This fight.